this is the Ibanez AS7328 Baritone electric guitar, and I'm rapidly falling in love with this thing. Now, if you're wondering if you've seen this guitar on my channel already, yes, you have, so well done for noticing that. I got to film a very spontaneous, rapid first look, first play, first impression video with this guitar back in December 2025. I visited Henning Pauly's house. He had this and some other of the 2026 Ibanez guitars in, and I literally got to go on camera, spec sheet in hand, my first time with the guitar, and do a first impression video. And I did kind of fall in love with the guitar straight away, but I was playing it through Henning's rig under a sort of high pressure situation of having never played it before. It was way outside of my comfort zone, and now what I've done is been lucky enough to have Ibanez Germany send this as a loaner to me to make some more sounds with it. I love a good baritone guitar. They make you play differently than you would with a standard electric guitar, even though you get to make the same chord shapes as you would with a standard electric. If you're not that familiar with a baritone, with how they're tuned, well, this one is tuned to B standard. You can kind of think of that as being 5 frets lower than a standard electric guitar, which is tuned to E. Now, if you play an open E bar chord on a standard electric guitar, it would actually sound like a 5th fret bar chord on the baritone, which would sound like this. And this being tuned to B, if you play this as an open E chord, you're actually playing an open B chord. So there you go, you can use the same chord shapes, you can play the same riffs, and it really doesn't hinder your playing in that sense. So baritones are great things. I highly recommend them, and I highly recommend this one to you already. And what I'm going to do here is play as many different riffs, as many different soundscapes as possible, so you can hear the true versatility of this instrument. And you can also hear whether or not it sounds good for playing the standard sort of stuff that you'd play on a standard electric. Now, I did go through the specs of the guitar in the previous video that I did, but just in case you didn't see that one, these are the specs of the AS7328. So the guitar's made in Indonesia, and as of time of filming, March 2026, it'll set you back €599 or about $630. So very much in the realm of affordable, especially when it comes to being a baritone. Now, the finish is tobacco brown, and it's a beautiful hollow body, very reminiscent of something like a Gibson 335 in terms of shape, and we've got a lovely tobacco brown sunburst finish going on here. Now, in terms of the body, the top, back and sides are made of linden wood, and the neck is a 3-piece nyatoh maple affair. We've got a 22 fret rosewood fingerboard on the front here. The neck of the guitar is bound, the body of the guitar is bound as well, and we've got loads of great Ibanez hardware on the guitar as well. We've got a pair of their classic elite humbucking pickups with a volume and a tone control for each of the pickups, and a 3-way selector switch. We've also got Ibanez's own Gibraltar Performer bridge and their VT06 almost trapezoid-esque tailpiece here, and all of those also add to the wonderful aesthetic of this guitar. It's a really classy looking thing. That continues to the neck, where we've got 22 medium frets on this bound rosewood fingerboard, and the tobacco brown sunburst finish extends to the back of the neck as well, which I think is a really nice touch. Now, the scale length here is what would differentiate this from a standard electric guitar. It's 28 inches, which is 711 millimeters. Now, if you're buying one of the standard Ibanez AS Artcore guitars, strung to standard E tuning, that's going to have a 24¾ inch or 628 millimeter scale length. So there's a few inches of extra space on this guitar. You might think that makes it harder to play, but trust me, once you've played it for 5 minutes, it feels like absolutely second nature. And that's also aided by the fact that you have a 43 millimeter nut on this guitar, so it's not a thicker neck in that regard or anything like that. Now, in terms of the fingerboard radius here, that's 305 millimeters, which is about 12 inches, nice and flat, but not too flat. And the neck profile is a really nice slim to standard modern C shape. I don't think it's going to offend anybody. Up at the headstock, we have that classy looking Ibanez Artcore AS headstock in black with Ibanez tuners on the back. So this is the Ibanez AS7328 Baritone electric guitar, and now it's time to actually make some sounds with this thing, and I can't wait to really dive in and see what tones we can get out of this guitar. Now, I'll be using my standard rig for this video. That's my Hughes & Kettner Black Spirit 200 amplifier going straight into the Redbox AE Plus DI into my Zoom H6 recorder. No post-production is going to be done on the sounds or anything like that. I'll be using a series of my favorite pedals to spice up the sounds as well. For some lighter overdrives and some Marshall-esque, more high-gain stuff, I'll use my Crazy Tube Circuits heat seeker. I'll also use my JHS Bender fuzz pedal and my Rev G3 high-gain distortion pedal for some really down-tuned, metal-sounding, grungy, dirty, sludgy sort of stuff, because baritones are wonderful for that as well. And for some different sounds, for some delays and reverbs, maybe some modulations and some tremolos and so on, we'll be using my TC Electronic Plethora X3. Now, if you'd like to skip straight to the various sounds that you'd want to hear, well, you can do that, because in the description and the comments, I've got a series of timestamps for you. So if you want to go straight to the sludgy metal stuff, you can, or if you want to go straight to the classic rock or the ambient stuff, you can do that as well. But enjoy the tones, all of the tones that the AS7328 has to offer, and I think at the end I'll give you a few more of my opinions and my conclusions on this guitar. Okay then, so that was the Ibanez AS7328 Baritone guitar, and I hope you enjoyed the playing, the riffs and the tones. I got totally lost in this thing. I've been playing for a couple of hours by now. I'll have cut it down to about 15 minutes of music for you, but this thing just encouraged me and inspired me to make music. It sounds so good, it sounds so great for so many things, it's so versatile, and it just gives you something extra over your standard electric guitar. You can use the same chords, the same fingerings, the same scales and so on, but it just sounds different, it sounds thicker, it's got a different atmosphere and timbre to it, and it is just, in my opinion, a wonderful thing to add to your guitar collection. And if you're someone who's stepping into the world of baritone and you're wondering what could be out there for sub $1,000 and might not be super metal influenced, well, this is definitely going to be one that you should have on your shortlist. Now for me, the first impressions on getting this guitar out of the box were fantastic. As usual from Ibanez, you get a great setup, the frets have been done fantastically well, action and intonation spot on, no issues with the nut or anything like that. The electronics do their job, the finish has been applied perfectly, it's absolutely immaculate, as I would expect from Ibanez. And in terms of the weight, this guitar weighs 3.3 kilograms, that's about £7.13, so under £8 for a guitar this big with a 28-inch scale and this large 335 type body. Well, I'm very impressed with that indeed as well. And in terms of playability, this guitar is wonderful as well. I'm a huge fan of this modern C-shaped neck. It really delivers, it's really easy to get my hand round, and I never even noticed after 5 minutes that I was playing a much longer scale length than normal. I think the one major difference for my fingertips is the fact that I'm playing much thicker gauge strings than I would do on my standard electrics, and I'm going to have to build up calluses over the next couple of weeks, but after that it'll be absolutely fine. And in terms of the rest of the playability, no issues whatsoever. Like I've already said, the setup is great, the body shape is great, it's a surprisingly ergonomic baritone playing experience. And in terms of tones, I'm a huge fan of this guitar as well. I'm a big fan of Ibanez's classic elite humbucking pickups. I actually have those pickups in my standard electric, the Ibanez AS73FM, which you'll have seen on this channel quite a lot, and they sound great in a standard electric and they sound great in a baritone as well. And with this guitar, in this context, they deliver everything from really nice jazzy warm cleans, huge ambient tones, Indian alternative rock lower gain crunches, all the way through to down-tuned drop A metal madness, and they do it with style. I do have to say that if I could change one thing about this guitar, I would give myself coil splits on these humbuckers, because that could give me even more clarity for certain high gain things, but it's not too much of a problem. And actually, with judicious use of the EQ on my amp and on my pedals as well, I can get huge amounts of clarity out of these pickups, even when the gain on the Rev G3 is all the way up on the highest gain mode. So no problems there whatsoever. This is a fantastic sounding guitar. If you've been watching this video though, and you're interested in getting a sub $1,000 baritone into your life, well, I highly recommend that you start your shortlist with the AS7328. It's a fantastic playing, sounding and looking thing. It's so easy to get to grips with if you're already familiar with Ibanez guitars that I just can't recommend it highly enough. There are some other great sub $1,000 options out there though. You could go for something like the Gretsch G5260. That has Filtertron type pickups and is a wonderful guitar for about the same price as this one. Or you could go down the used route and try something like a used Dan Electro baritone or a used Squier Cabronita Telly baritone. Those are great options as well. And if you want to go a bit more left field, you could do far worse than trying something like the Reverend Descent baritones. Those are wonderful guitars as well. At the end of the day though, I am a huge fan of the AS7328. It's a fantastic baritone guitar, and I'm already crying that I have to give this one back to Ibanez Germany. I've seen that these guitars are out of stock everywhere, so it's going to be a while before I get my chance to get my hands on one of these permanently. But mark my words, one of these will be making it into my collection permanently. I've really fallen for this thing in every single way. It looks fantastic, it plays beautifully, it sounds great, it is just all round a fantastic experience for me, and it is something so different to the rest of the guitars in my collection. I could imagine that it would be something very different for you as well watching this. So check one of these out if you ever get the chance. And if you have any more questions about this specific guitar, shoot me a line down there in the comments and I shall do my best to answer you. Now, if you'd like to watch the other video that I've done with this guitar already, or any of my videos on any of the other 2026 Ibanez models, because there are some great options out there, a couple of those should be popping up on the screen right about now. Give me a like and a sub if you haven't already, but I've been Rich and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.